Hello, my name's Stuart, and I'm reviewing another race today for my Golden Miles channel. So obviously I'm not just doing miles, I just thought it sounded good for a channel name. I'll be doing middle distance races, 800s, 1500s miles, 2000s, 3000s, etc. Any kind of races that Coe, Cram and Ovett were actually racing in. So I may actually do a couple of Moorcroft races as well, maybe some others. So yeah, Seb Coe burst onto the scene really in 1977. So he came a bit later than Ovett. And I believe that he ran some impressive times in 77 and set a UK record for the 800 meters. At the same time, we had Steve Ovett, who was also a world-class 800 meter runner and 1500 meter runner. And Ovett entered in Prague for the 800 meters and he entered for the 1500 meters. And there was every prospect of him doing the double, frankly. So I wonder why Coe didn't enter for the 1500. Maybe somebody can say. Perhaps at that stage he hadn't really made any kind of mark at 1500 meters. Then he was just focusing on 800. That's quite amazing what he achieved the next year in the 1500 and the mile. So yeah, let's get going with this. Obviously we all know what the result is, so I'm going to talk through the race as it develops. I've not watched this. It's one race I don't really like watching, mainly because of how it turned out. I don't like to see either Coe or Ovett losing, and we'll talk about what happened. Let's get going with the race and see how it goes.
See how the field sorts itself out, and then go with about 550 meters to go. But it's Coe they're all watching, and it's Coe that
I believe that is Adrian Metcalf. I really liked him as a commentator. Coe's gone out fast there, very fast. I wonder whether, yeah, I wonder whether he was thinking about this in 1980 when he went out in the Olympic final and he was at the back.
200 meters, that's going to be a sub 50.
I've got no doubt actually that had Coe gone out like this in Moscow, he would have won. He wasn't quite there to run a 50-second first lap and not die a bit in 1978, but I think in 1949.32. I mean, look at that. I mean, in 1980-81, off that kind of first lap, Coe would have run 142 dead. There's no doubt about it. I'd say 1 second too fast. Ovett's being dragged. I mean, they both ran very quick first laps. I mean, at this stage, you're thinking that Britain's going to take 1 and 2 for certain. Ovett's in the classic position here. He's struggling though. You can see that he's not. I mean, he's gone past Coe. And that was the staggering thing that happened. Yeah.
We underestimated the power of Olaf Beyer. Second in the Europa Cup last year, where he beat Sebastian Coe. And Beyer had the strength down the home straight.
Well, there it is. Let's just go back and look again. I mean, if you look here, Coe's not going to win at this stage. And unfortunately, Coe ran such a first lap that he drained the strength out of Ovett's legs in the home straight to the extent that Olaf Beyer got past him.
And it's between these two now, and Bayer's going to come up on Ovett. And Ovett could just about be able to handle him. Oh, Bayer's going to take him. But we never expected that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ovett still ran a very, good run. I think his fastest ever run was about 144. But Olaf Beyer to this day claims that he was clean. And as he said in Pat Butcher's excellent book, The Perfect Distance, you know, when it was put to him that he was on something, he shook his head and he said it was a good day's work. It was obviously the highlight of his career. And obviously the documentation speaks for itself. We know that the East Germans were keen to prove that they were the you know, they were the supreme athletics nation, and a lot of their athletes were on substances. So, and it's just seemed to work out absolutely spot on for him on this day. He was in great form, plus probably the assistance that he had from whatever he was taking got the strength into his legs to the extent that he won the race. I mean, to an extent, it's the same story with Straub. Straub also ran out of his skin in Moscow. Plus, I think that he must have had some assistance. I can't believe, frankly, that there was anybody in those days that clean could have really lived with Coe and Ovett. That's how confident I am that it wasn't really a level playing field that day. And I think that many of you agree with me. So what else to say about that? Coe, of course, was disappointed in third place. He went way too fast. Well, he did go. He went too fast by at least a second. I think that had he run about 50, I don't know, 51, 50.5 for the first lap, possibly Ovett still would have won, or at least I'm not sure what would have happened with Bayer. It's possible Bayer still would have won. He may have won in a faster time as well, had the time is slightly slower on the first lap. Ovett there's running 144 off a 52nd first lap, tells me that his true potential was more like sort of 143 in a perfect race. And Coe was not quite the world-beating athlete that he became in 1979 in this race, because I'm pretty convinced that had he been in 1979 form off a 49.3 first lap, he would have run about 142.5, 142, and nobody would have been able to live with, you know, Ovett or Bayer wouldn't have been able to live with that kind of time. Well, he wasn't quite there yet, and he still had some way to go before he became the super athlete. Ovett already was a super athlete, and you know, had Bayer been competing fairly, he would have won the double. Fortunately, there was nobody that could touch him in the 1500. You know, he was just too good. And I'll be reviewing that race, of course. Well, guys, that's about it. Let me know what you think about that, and if you've got any comments of your own, or if you disagree with anything that I've said, or if you've got any additional information on this race, I'd be very interested to hear it. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back again soon.